Hello, and welcome back to Learn the Bible in a Year for April 29th, 2026. Today is National Zipper Day. One thing I find peculiar is that if you have a jacket and you're a man, you have to use your right hand to zip your zipper up. But if you're a woman, you have to use your left hand to zip the zipper up because of the way they make jackets. I've always wondered why that is the case. If anybody knows why they actually make jackets that way, please let me know in the comments section in honor of National Zipper Day. Today, we're going to be covering land allotments for Judah and Ephraim, the cosmic origins of Jesus, and a Psalms about the foolishness of rejecting God. So let's jump right into it. All right, now diving into our Old Testament reading, we're in Joshua 15 and 16. Yesterday, we saw Caleb, who is 85, by the way, climb his mountain. And today, we get the nitty gritty details of the land given to the tribes of Judah and Ephraim. Chapter 15 is essentially a massive real estate deed for the tribe of Judah. It outlines their borders in painstaking, and I mean painstaking detail, from the Dead Sea in the east of the Mediterranean to the Mediterranean in the west. And right in the middle of this geographical list, we get a little action sequence with our guy Caleb again. Caleb drives out the three sons of Anak in Hebron, just like he said he would. Then he offers his daughter in marriage to whoever can capture the nearby city of Debir. Debir sounds like a beer, but it's actually spelled Debir, but it's pronounced Debir, which I think is funny. A man named Othniel steps up and takes the city and wins the prize. Othniel is actually going to become the very first judge of Israel later on, so let's keep that name in mind. But there's a troubling note at the end of chapter 15. It says that Judah could not drive out the Jebusites living in Jerusalem, so they lived there to this day. We see the exact same thing happen in chapter 16 with the tribe of Ephraim. They received their land, but they failed to drive out the Canaanites living in Gezer. Instead, they just subject them to forced labor. Now, a question you might have here is, why is this such a big deal? If they controlled the land and put the Canaanites to work, didn't they still win, quote unquote? The problem is that God did not command them to subjugate the Canaanites. He commanded them to drive them out completely. This is incomplete obedience, and it's going to cause massive thorns in Israel's side. By leaving these pockets of Canaanite culture and religion intact, they are leaving the door open to future idolatry and compromise. It's a stark reminder that partial obedience is still disobedience. Alrighty, jumping into the New Testament, and we're starting the Gospel of John today. This is the fourth and final book of the life of Jesus. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John is intentionally echoing the very first words of Genesis here. He's telling us that in the story of Jesus, it didn't start in Bethlehem, it started in the eternity past. The Greek word John uses for word here is the word logos. And in Greek philosophy, the logos was the abstract rational principle that governed the universe. But John completely hijacks the concept and says, no, the logos is not an abstract force. The logos is a person. And not only was he with God, but he also was God. Through him, everything was made. I know we're only a couple lines into John, but we're already starting to dissect and see how Jesus is set apart from, air quotes, religious leaders of that time period or any time period. Now, John tells us that in him was life, and that life was the light of men. He says that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. The Greek word used here can mean both overcome or comprehend. It's a brilliant double meaning here. The darkness of this world neither understood the light of Christ, nor could he defeat it. Fun stuff. And then we get to verse 14, which is arguably one of the most important verses in the entire Bible. And it says, "And the Word," meaning Jesus, "became flesh and dwelt among us." The word for dwelt literally means to pitch a tent or tabernacle. God didn't just shout instructions from heaven, he put on human skin and pitched his tent right in the middle of our messy, broken neighborhood. We also meet John the Baptist, who makes it very clear that he is not the light. He's just a guy holding a flashlight, pointing everyone towards Jesus. Of course, there were no flashlights back then. You understand the analogy that I'm making, right? Yes, we all agree. He calls himself the voice crying in the wilderness, preparing the way for the Lord. We're going to learn a lot more about John the Baptist in the next couple days, so buckle your seatbelts for that. And we finish today in Psalms 53, and we read verses 1 through 6, and it goes like this. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, and their ways are vile. There is no one who does good. God looks down from heaven upon the sons of men to see if any understand, if any seek God. Everyone is turned away. They have altogether become corrupt. There is no one who does good, not even one. Will the workers of iniquity never learn? They devour my people like bread. They refuse to call upon God. There they are, overwhelmed with dread, where there is nothing to fear. For God has scattered the bones of those who besiege you. You put them to shame, for God has despised them. Oh, that the salvation of Israel would come out of Zion. When God restores his captive people, let Jacob rejoice and Israel be glad. All right, now just a quick word from our sponsors. This show is sponsored by Good Leads, which is a company that I own, and we provide outbound leads to medium-sized B2C businesses. Good Leads is dedicated to helping businesses maximize revenue while decreasing marketing costs. To find out more, click the link in the show notes to see if your business might qualify. And this episode is also brought to you by Covenant Security Equipment. Covenant Security Equipment is a Christian-owned company that sells everything home and business security. Things like safety windows and doors and walls and safes and everything you can think of. Go to Covenant Security Equipment to find out more. All right. Well, what was your main takeaway from today's reading? I just loved unpacking the first couple of verses in John. I particularly like when you do the dig into the Greek words. I love the Greek word that was translated to overcome. It could mean simply to overcome, or it could also mean to comprehend. I just love thinking that the darkness not only cannot overcome the light, but it also can't even comprehend the light of Christ. So that was definitely my main takeaway from today's reading. But what was yours? Let me know in the comment section what your main takeaway was. And that is the end of today's episode. And I will see all of you cool cats again here tomorrow.